Welcome it. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Eagles. No. Pause that.
Good. We're good, Robert.
We're good? Go ahead. All right, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Eagles Nest Coaches Show with Coach David Perkins. What you just got to witness was the Eagle Corps drumline performing for us, and we'll be able to see them in action again later on tonight. And we'll have a couple of members from the Eagle Corps drumline come up for an interview here shortly. Coach Perkins, we had a nice victory against Northwood, 42-0. And we're just excited for you to be here, and we're looking for another win this weekend.
Absolutely. It's a good way to get the season started off. It's always good to be 1-0 going into week 2. So and a little tougher opponent this week, so we've been preparing for that. Really pleased with Friday night's performance from our guys. A lot of guys got to play. I think just about the whole bench played. And, that's always good for the young guys also. So, we're preparing this week for another opponent, and we'll see what happens.
So, Coach, in the game the other night, it was almost a tale of two halves in a sense. Why don't you take us through the first half, against Northwood and your thoughts on that?
Well, we kind of started off a little bit slow, but, I think after we got our legs under us, it was a hot night. Well, I'll tell you, we went through some water, but it was a very humid night. First quarter was a little bit tough on both teams, so it took us a little while to get going there. But, we got the block punt and the touchdown. That kind of got the train rolling there. Jack Simpson did a little nice play there on the blocking back, kind of got inside of him and was able to block it, and we score. And then we just kind of started rolling from there. So, I know we'll talk about Jake and, Matthew and Cutter and those guys on offense in just a little while. But, they had a good game. Yeah,
they did. And, it seemed like the game the other night just drug out forever. He was talking about it being hot and muggy. But, in the first half, really y'all only had about 4 or so possessions in that first half. But it seemed like the first half took like 2 hours.
Yes. It took a long time, and, we're throwing the ball around a little bit more, and that's going to take a lot more time. The clock's going to stop on, on them completes. And, then Northwood went on that long drive. That took a lot of time off the clock. That was I think Coach texted the coach and said it was a 22-clip drive that ended in no points in a very controversial time of the game, too.
Yeah, it was. And stopped them on 4th down twice inside the 10.
Well, that's pretty frustrating right there. It's 14-0, and you get a fumble recovery, run back for a touchdown. A big play, a long play, and then they get 4th down over again. That's a little frustrating for a coach.
Well, and talk about too, in that second quarter there, after that, and we get the ball, we go down, we start establishing a pretty good drive. We get it across midfield, turn the ball over ourselves, and we kind of talked about that a little bit pregame, with the turnover game. Northwood gets the ball back, but yet you're able to still go into halftime putting points on the board.
Absolutely. We drive down. Jake drives us down right before half and gets points. And that's always big, in a football game, kind of demoralizes the other team when you get points right there before the half. And, works the other way if you're on defense and you're trying to stop the other team from scoring, especially if they get the second half kickoff, And I know we didn't, but it's always big to score right before the half. You have some momentum going in there. You can go kind of make some adjustments and then get the third quarter going. But that was a big drive.
Yeah, we were talking about I call it the big mo, right there at the end of the first half. And Jake had that nice run. Knew they were going to come out the second half and they were going to get the ball. So happens we get they had a fumble or we had an interception right there at the beginning, and we were able to go down into the start of the third quarter and score and really put that game away on those 2 drives.
Absolutely. We talked about that at the halftime, and if we go get a touchdown right here, we can kind of put the game away. But and we knew going into this game, Northwood doesn't have a whole lot of players. Not that we do, but we've got more than they do, and we knew we could kind of grind it and wear them down a little bit. Especially their skill guys, Then they had some pretty good skill guys. Number 4 is a good player, man, and so we had to defend him. There was a couple times there where, he could almost broke it, but the defense played really well. And it's kind of that one long drive was kind of the only kind of offense they had the whole night, So I'm very proud of those guys and really just the whole team effort.
Yeah, I mean, you came out at halftime and up 21-0, and you get that touchdown, Hicks 15-yard touchdown reception, goes up and grabs it in the back of the end zone over two defenders. Really nice catch. And to me, that was the one just kind of the backbreaker of the night, because after that, you kind of look at Northwood. And like you said, 4 was a playmaker for them. 3 was a bit of a playmaker, and it just those guys were done.
Absolutely, and it was a nice play. Coach Ortiz kind of set that up. With moving the receivers around, kind of seeing how the defense would adjust and see if their best defender would come over with Matthew, and and he recognized a couple times that he wasn't, and they had a smaller cornerback on him. And we ran that play before we got the touchdown, and Jake didn't throw it. And then, we just said he was covered. But, he's not covered. He's bigger. And so the next play, he threw it to him, and you saw the result. So Matthew is very athletic, and he can make those kind of plays for us. So, we're going to put it up to him and give him one-on-ones.
Yeah, we had a hard time, seeing from the press box. But I said it was touchdown, and, it was like, did he catch it? Did he catch it? And I said, yeah, he got this one, going over those defensive backs and making that reception. Then toward the end of the third quarter and fourth quarter, the Heat got a lot of kids as far as the the cramping, which we're expecting to see, and I'm glad we still do that 6-minute water break between every quarter, because it was hot.
Well, that's important, and they got to hydrate even more than that. But we cramped a little bit in the Winfield game, but but this game not so much. I think we had maybe one guy that cramped up a little bit. Their guys were really cramping, but they weren't coming off the field. I was able to even go out there and kind of help a couple of their guys, but. Glad to do that, but our guys are in pretty good shape, and they're going to get in better shape, as the season goes on. And I was proud to see that we really weren't cramping on a night where it was a 2.5-hour game almost, and just the humidity was crazy. And I think it was a little bit unexpected too that it was going to be that warm or that humid. But we got through it, long game, and we learned from it.
Yeah, poor me and John, y'all were hot and sweaty outside, and we were blessed. It was 58 degrees in that press box, and it was almost like you could hold hang meat up there.
Well, a couple of our guys, and I was talking to Coach Jay, his son plays on the defensive line. He's down there in the trenches, and I think he lost like 10 to 12 pounds just on that one night. Of course, that's a lot of fluid, and he's going to get it back pretty quickly, but it just kind of gives you an idea how it was.
I sure wish I could lose 10 or 12.
And you had
and keep it off.
Yeah, and keep it off.
And going into that game, last week, y'all had a few players that were under the weather throughout the week.
Absolutely, that's been going on for a couple of weeks, and still kind of got that going on with us right now, and kind of trying to get over that, and that's about all I'll say about that.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Well, tonight we're going to give out the Southern Cool Play of the Game, and we're also going to give out the Express Pros Lineman of the Game, and we're also going to give out the 446 Player of the Game as well. And I'll go ahead and we'll jump into that right now. Our Southern Cool Air Play of the Game, me and John talked about this one, and we went with the 26-yard run by Jacob right there at the first half, and we talked about that one a few minutes ago, how that was a huge momentum changer.
Absolutely, we talked about it, scoring right there before the half. Jake's dual threat, you can, so he put up some pretty good numbers passing, and we know that whenever we're able to pass, that we're going to be able to probably run. And, we've got Aiden Moore in back there, but, with Jake being able to run also and, get out of the pocket and take off, it's really big for us, and he made a big play.
Yeah. And shout out to Aiden. Aiden had a 43-yard touchdown there, in the second half, and we were throwing the ball all night, and the next thing you know, Aiden rips off a big one.
Absolutely, but and I don't want nothing against Jake right here, but I'm pretty sure that would have been another play if it wasn't for inadvertent whistle.
Correct.
But that's about all we can say about that.
We'll keep it at that.
But congratulations to Jake on the play of the week.
So then, our
play of the day game.
Express Pros Lineman of the Game, which you got one job to do, and me and John we came up with Lane Evans, and I thought Lane played a heck of a game Friday night.
Well, you say Express Pros, you got one job to do. Let's talk about Lane Bennett.
Yeah.
He did 2 jobs.
He did.
Right.
Center, and then moves out to right tackle. So talk about Lane a little bit on that, Coach.
Absolutely. So he's starting at the center position, a senior. He's got to get the ball to Jake. Did a great job, and he's able to talk to those guys on the line. We got some seniors up there that know what they're doing. So a lot of communications going on, and he's able to recognize things that, So one of our linemen, if they come out, we're probably going to move Lane to that position and then put in a younger center, which we put in Connor Lacombe. And he went into center and, didn't skip a beat. And it's going to be a benefit to us if multiple linemen can play multiple positions. And you're going to see some of those offensive linemen go over there and play defensive line a little bit too.
And we saw that a little bit Friday night.
Absolutely, we're running a lot of four-man front right now, depending on who we're playing. So we got to put an extra lineman in there. So we're going to use some of these offensive linemen.
Good.
Our final player of the game, we came up with the 446 player of the game, and we came up with Matthew Hicks. Matthew, when we need a big play, as far as those receptions in the end of the first half and that long touchdown at the very beginning and that nice catch in the third quarter, we decided on Matthew Hicks as our 446 player of the game.
Absolutely, good choice. We had several choices to pick from.
Exactly.
And could have won, several different ways. And then that's a great choice. Matthew's really athletic, and both those touchdowns were really athletic plays. And I think he had like about 100 and maybe 50 yards receiving. And so hopefully we'll see a whole lot more of that. And we've got other receivers too that are being able to put up yardage. Zach Dozot is one of those guys too, and he's a little shaken up right now with an ankle issue, so you didn't see a lot of him. I think he had a catch, but he was a little gimpy. And then obviously, and then we got Cutter Knowles, great speed. I think he had 5 receptions. So we got guys out there, and you mentioned it with Aiden Moran running and Jake guys. So it's not just 1 or 2 dudes,
right? And
that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, and you look at your wide receiving core this year compared to what you had last year, and kind of piggyback off our play of the game, players of the game, linemen of the game. So you had Matthew Hicks and Lane Evans. Both those guys go out early last year to season-ending injuries.
Good point.
And I see them, lineman of the game and player of the game, how important those 2 guys are to your offense.
Absolutely, and you can see just by week 1 how, and they got hurt in the game that we're fixing to play against Gina, very early in those games, and they were out for the whole season. So, they're thinking about that, and I know they're going to be thinking about that when we play them. So having them back and having them healthy is important.
Yeah, good deal.
All right, when we come back, we're going to start our senior interviews, and first up is going to be Jacob Janice. So when you return back on 446 Sports.
Are home problems turning your life upside down? Trust Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing to save the day. From keeping you comfortable to plumbing repairs and even generators, we do it all. Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, your one-stop solution for AC, plumbing, and generators. If you need us to save the day for you, call Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing or visit us online at southernairnow.com.
All right, welcome back from the Eagles Nest Coaches Show here at live from Brocato's tonight.
Sponsored by Brocato and 3 Potato More.
3 Potato More.
Yeah.
And tonight's senior interview tonight, we got our linebacker, Jacob Janice. Jacob, welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, Jacob, you go out and you're playing a linebacker. What do you like to do as far as being a linebacker?
I like to hit people, so that's what linebackers do. So.
They hit.
Yeah.
Those defensive linemen help you out on the front, and then you get to that one-on-one, and you can lay some wood to them. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like a puzzle. The defensive linemen, we fill our gaps.
Well, we saw you the other night, filling gaps, and even against Winfield, you made some really good tackles, jumping in between the guard and tackle and get back there in the backfield.
Well, Coach Sam, he started calling a fire, so that's a little blitz. So
you like that, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's good. We're just going to ask some questions. What clubs are you? What do you do at Menard as far as clubs, groups, or anything else like that you're staying involved with?
I don't do too many clubs. I was in art club one year. I do football. I used to do baseball, and then soccer. I don't do soccer anymore. I might join this year.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Well, good.
Well, the next guy that we're going to have after you, Jude,
Yes.
he came soccer to football, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Soccer
Is he going to recruit you to come back to to soccer and maybe play a little defense on the soccer team as well?
I don't know. He might.
You-
We got him to football, be our kicker. He's pretty good at it.
No,
so.
he's pretty good at it, and so maybe you can return that favor and coming back and playing, defense on soccer
Yes,
too.
sir.
Pretty physical sport in soccer as well.
Yes, sir.
And what else? What do you do away from football, Menard? You hunt, you fish.
Well, I hunt, I fish, hang with friends a lot. LSU games are coming up, so we do a lot of that.
Do a lot of it.
Tailgating, just sitting around having fun.
Going out to eat.
Yes, sir.
Like
we go out to eat a lot.
Go out to eat a lot.
Yes, sir.
Mexican, hamburgers, steaks. What's your favorite?
Mexican.
Mexican.
Mexican definitely it.
Good choice. Matter of fact, I'm doing that Mexican tomorrow night, John. Speaking of.
Yeah. So, Jacob, after high school, what's
Well,
Jacob Janice going to be doing?
So I was thinking about not going to college, but I want to go to college now and probably get a business degree or something, just to
Nice.
later on in life I want to start something, start a little business up. So
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just
deal.
go at your own pace, and word of wisdom, when you're ready, you're ready,
Yeah.
And, it took me a while to get through, but I made it through as well. Mr. John made it through as well. And, I say it, have fun while you're young, and you got that opportunity
Yes,
as
sir.
well. John, anything else you need?
So Jacob, looking back at the game, you may have said this earlier. So your favorite call, fire, right? Blitz.
Yes, sir.
That's looking at with the coaches and the coaches you've had over your career here at Menard. Which one or two have really made an impression on you?
Well, our position coach or all coaches?
All your coaches.
Well, probably Coach Sam, Perk, and Coach Foltz. Because, Coach Sam's been with me since 6th grade, 5th grade year. And he's been my linebacker coach for a long time now. So, and then Coach Foltz, he was he's our position coach this year too.
Yeah.
And then Perk, he's just helped me out through everything. Past 6 years I've been in Menard. So, yeah.
Well, good.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to go to a quick break for a quick 30-second break, and we're going to bring back our kicker, Jude Maida, will be joining us next. You are watching 446 Sports. All right, we're back at the for the coaches show.
Eagles Nest
and
Coaches Show with Coach David Perkins here at Brocato.
There you go. Our second guest tonight is going to be our kicker. Jude Maida.
Yes, sir.
Jude, who got you to come out for football knowing that you were a soccer player for all these other years?
Well, to be honest, I've been contemplating it since last year. And then senior year, I was like, all my friends are playing, so why not do it? And with soccer, it came naturally, so I have no regrets. These past 2 games have been so much fun, so no regrets.
Who that person was that said, come on, let's go. We need you.
Jack Simpson, he kind of persuaded me, and Kate Tossin, all of them, they were just like, come kick, we need a kicker. And I was like, all right, I'll do it.
My question is, I love special teams. Special teams are so important, in football. How different it is kicking a soccer ball versus a football.
Oh, it's completely different. Like when I first started, all my ball, because on the soccer ball you kick it in a different kind of way. So every time I'd kick the football, it'd spiral, it'd spin. And then I had to look up some YouTube videos. I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? And I I went. You remember Ryan Hicks from last
Right.
2 years ago? He came, gave me a couple lessons, and I started to get the hang of it. And it was just practice after that and repetition.
What position do you play in soccer? Are you a striker, midfielder?
Midfield.
Midfield.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
cool. John, I know soccer as well. And who are some of the people that have influenced you here at Menard? And what do you want to carry on whenever you leave Menard?
Some people that have influenced me is Mr. Oscar. I said this in our other interview.
Yeah.
He's always at school, always with a good attitude, and it pushes me to be a better student. And I hope to leave Menard. I hope all the younger classmen are remember me in a good way. Be like, man, I missed you, dude, and stuff like that. I just hope to have a positive impact.
Now, Mr. Oscar, if you can fill us in on who Mr. Oscar is.
He's our school janitor, and everyone knows Mr. Oscar at Menard. So, but he's always there with a smile on his face, and I love him.
I read a story, John. I know we got Avoyelles coming up here in a couple of weeks, and you're speaking of, Mr. Oscar. Avoyelles has an assistant principal who started out as a custodial worker for 30 years, and now he went back to school, and now he's gotten his education, and he's the assistant principal at Avoyelles High School.
Yeah.
Great story.
That's awesome.
So Jude, looking at it, senior at Menard now, what's Jude Maida doing after high school?
After high school, I plan to go to LSU, and I plan to major in business and then hopefully go to law school and get a law degree and then see where life takes me from there. Yes,
Good
sir.
deal, man. Any schools in mind?
LSU is probably my number one option right now. And I want to stay in-state to be close to my parents, so it's mainly just LSU.
Good deal.
Yes, sir.
So one more question, talking about Jacob's favorite play. Is there a play where Jude Maida has a fake field goal?
We have something cooking up right now. I'm not going to – Jacob probably – I think I heard him say fire, fire.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm telling you, as soon as I hear those words, I'm running to the end zone and no one's stopping me.
Well, usually on extra points and field goals, when you got to yell fire, fire, it's usually not pretty good.
It's my first year,
Yeah.
So I learned those words is
Okay.
my cue.
Well, that's good. You know what to do.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Well, when we come back, we're going to have a couple of the coaches that are on the offensive line, Coach Redmond and Coach Cortland Smith. Come back to us. You're watching 446 Sports.
Discover golf like never before at Links on the Bayou, Central Louisiana's hidden gem. Welcome to a golf experience like no other. Our Links-style design sets the stage for an exciting and unique adventure. 5 distinct tee boxes cater to every skill level, ensuring a game that's perfect for you. And when you're ready to refuel, head to Becky's Bunker Club for dining with a view and gear up in our pro shop, ready to elevate your golfing experience. Tee off at Links on the Bayou today. Links on the Bayou, redefining the way you enjoy golf.
Check out some of our recent work at the Panthers Stadium. In addition to custom signs and banners, we also handle custom trophies, custom awards, custom vehicle wraps, and more. Give us a call. We handle projects large and small.
We're back. We've got Coach Redmond and Coach Smith, the coaches that coach the big guys.
Oh, yeah.
Coach, you've got 4 seniors on this offensive line. What do they mean to this, this group here?
Well, when you have seniors on the offensive line, especially seniors that have a little bit of experience, that means a whole lot to your offense. Everything starts with that front group. I mean, you take your center, right? The only people that touch the ball every single snap of a football game is the center and the quarterback. All right, and everybody gives attention to the quarterback, but the center does just as much of an important job, right? He's got to get that ball to him, and he usually has a guy right on top of him that wants to kill him.
Right,
and wants to kill the quarterback.
Right.
And so having guys that know what they're doing, that have that experience, that work hard every single day. I mean, we've had guys that come in this year. Gage Wright, he's a first-year player, and he's playing out there at tackle, but he has stepped in and had a huge impact on the team already. But he comes in and he's like, Coach, this is hard.
Yeah.
Doing this offensive line thing is hard. Like, everybody thinks, oh, well, they're just blocking. Oh, how hard can it be? That guy's right there. Oh, catching the ball is harder. No. One of the hardest things you can do is line up in front of somebody every single play and say, you know what, I'm just going to be a bigger man than you today.
Right.
And that's a very difficult thing. And me and Coach Smith, we both played. We were both offensive linemen. Coach Smith was significantly better of an offensive lineman than I was.
Wouldn't say that.
For sure. But it makes a difference when you have guys that understand what those guys are going through and really push those guys to be the best that they can, teach them to do the right things in the right way. And then when they buy in, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It's a beautiful thing to watch. And they're the unsung heroes, because you just mentioned, kill the quarterback. You
Right.
remember when we were playing kids, they were like, okay, we're going to get the quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, you
Right.
had to have somebody to block them,
Right.
And, I feel like, we got a young man, like Lane Evans. What does it mean to have a senior plus Lane Evans at that center position? Because a lot of people, he snaps the ball, but he does a lot of stuff whenever he comes up to that, that line of scrimmage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when I fill out an offensive line, I think one of the most important positions is the center. For me, a center is not just a guy that is a good player or can snap the ball. I'm looking for the guy that knows what's going on. Center is the position that if there's a question in the huddle, hey, I don't know what we're going to do this play, I expect that center to be able to know every single position on that line, know what everybody's doing, be able to call out where the defense is at, direct traffic. I mean, people talk about the middle linebacker, your linebackers being the quarterbacks of the defense. I think that the center is kind of the quarterback of the offensive line. That's a guy that has to really, really step up and know what's going on in order to do his job. And having Lane there, I think it's very, very important.
And having a senior, there has been in the trenches for all these years, and do they make the call when they get up there as far as exactly what we're looking for and where the blitz is coming from. That's something that Lane does on every play. Or?
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's really what we try and do with him. Coach Court works with him, and Coach Court knows the ins and outs a little bit, far better than anybody else I've really kind of coached with in terms of he was there recently, and he has all that stuff fresh on his mind. And I think it's really important. Don't you think, Coach?
Yeah, man, I've been blessed and fortunate for them to join on. Redmond's
Right.
had these guys for a while, and I've just been blessed to come in and essentially just another set of eyes and just different little things that you can pick up on, because there's things that he'll see that I didn't see and stuff that I see that he doesn't necessarily see, so we can all just pick up and help the guys out. Him and Coach Ortiz work really hard on the offensive game plan, and when the guys come off the field, I go to the guys that aren't playing defense, because got a lot of two-way players, but I'm able to pull those guys aside and talk to them myself and really get a good in-depth conversation, just figure out what they see and how can I help them, and I've been blessed and fortunate to join on this year at Menard and get to work with Redmond. You said the senior leadership here is really good, man. When you got a good group like that, I was blessed to graduated from Menard myself,
Right.
and when we graduated, we had a good group of 3 seniors on the offensive line, and that offensive line, you got to work as one brain. All 5 guys have to have the same thought to really be great. That you have to work in unison, and you all have to know, just like you were saying, know what every single person is doing to be successful. And
Coach,
so that's the main goal of trying to do that is just make sure all them guys are working in unison.
Coach, from talk about the offensive line from last year to this year. What's the biggest thing you've seen between?
Well, I think it's just the maturity of it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Michael.
Right.
I think that group is a special group. Mm-hmm. When you're an offensive lineman, I think that you go through things that the rest of the team maybe doesn't go through. We're down there in Indo, and we look down in the wide receivers. They may be blocking a dummy, or they may be doing a little bit of press coverage, and they're getting jammed off the line. But these offensive linemen, even in Indo, they're in the trenches. They're firing off the ball. They're hitting each other. We're trying to hurt each other every single day. And having a guy like Michael that was so integral to keeping the morale up and staying positive on so many things, and having that guy not there, but still serving as the influence and the inspiration for our offensive line, I think has made a difference for these guys. You can see the focus that they have. Our offensive linemen, when they lose one of their own like that, I think it really brought into focus that we're going to do something special for him and that he's here with us, and it's going to change the way that they approach practice every day. And not that doesn't affect other groups. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that this was that offensive line, that's a brotherhood within a brotherhood. You know, that's your platoon right there. You know, that's the group that you spend time with in the trenches. And he was a part of that for those guys. And so I think that has given a lot of inspiration to our offensive line and given the opportunity for those guys to step up in a big way in order to kind of, you know, as homage to Michael.
Pretty close group, aren't they?
They are a very close group.
They're a very tight-knit group.
Tight-knit group. They go hang out. You know, they go eat. That's that's.
They eat a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, like, you better watch out. Listen, if you own a restaurant and our offensive line shows up to eat as a group, you call in some extra staff.
There you go.
They're coming to eat, son.
Well, we like to eat as well. Coach Smith, I told you I was going to ask you, how excited are you to be back at Menard?
Man, I'm absolutely ecstatic. Graduated Menard 2017. You know, we had some really good seasons there. And, you know, it's even better that I get to come back and work with Coach Perk. You know, Coach Perk was there whenever I was there. Coach Ortiz was there. So, man, this Menard family really is something special and something I'm super excited to be back in. I'm up there teaching, coaching. You know, I deal with the offensive linemen, whether it's offensive line or defensive line. I deal with the same dudes all practice. You know, I'm just kind of a helping hand, a good morale, a good spirit, but absolutely ecstatic to be back, man, and just to know that I have a part in something that's way bigger. You know, I didn't get to know Mike too long. I got to meet him in summer workouts and stuff, but, man, just to see the big picture and like Redmond alluded to there, just this group coming together and what we're trying to do for Mike this year, and just how, you know, you talk about how tight-knit. I guess that's where I was trying to wrap all this into, just how tight-knit of a family it really is. Because, man, these dudes, whenever he mentioned it perfect at practice, like, we're in a car crash every play. Like, we go to we are in a, like, offensive linemen are in a car crash and defensive linemen every single play, every single practice. Like, these dudes are going to be bruised up from the time we start fall camp to the end of the season. And so just to have that tight-knit, you know, group that we're the only ones that know what we go through, right? And so to have that tight-knit group together, it just really is something special, and I'm blessed to be a part of it, man. I'm ecstatic for the year. I couldn't have came in really at a better time with such a good group of guys up front. You know, a lot of guys have a lot of experience. You know, Redmond's got these dudes pretty tuned up. They know their responsibilities, so I just really get to nitpick them on different things. I nitpick them pretty hard.
It's good for them.
Yeah, it is. I get to nitpick them on different things, and it really is fun, man. I'm absolutely enjoying it, and I'm glad to be back.
And so what'd you learn at LC that we were able to, you know, that you were to bring back to these kids?
Yeah, so I was really blessed and fortunate. Even at Menard, you know, I had Coach Book. He's a wonderful offensive line coach. And when I went to LC, I had a guy by the name of Mike Richard. And if guys know him, he loves football. I'll put it like that.
That is my next door neighbor.
Yeah.
I go ahead and say his hobby, folks, is football. It's football and football only.
Yeah, we would watch film even in the off season. We would watch like 3 hours of film a day. He would pull us in. Like, we would do our 6 a.m. lifts, go to class, and then, like, we went straight to watch film. Like, he loves football and he loves offensive line as well. And just, man, certain little things, you know, independent hands and really where you need to be, your feet placement. And people don't understand how really athletic you have to be as an offensive lineman. I know I don't look the most athletic, but you got to be able to bend in all the right places. You know, you got to be able to bend at the ankles, bend at the knees. And whenever you're striking with your hands, you know, you're in a very tight, confined area of that chest plate, right? So working the hands in there and different things, you know, keeping your pad level low. And like I said, it's really at the end of the day, you're nitpicking because it's not necessarily old school ways. We still get down and put our hands in dirt. We fire off the ball hard, but you got to have a finesse to it as well, because if you just go overboard, you'll get yourself in a very bad position pretty quick. And so just really being able to nitpick those guys and just fine tune what they know, because at the end of the day, when you go out there on that field on Friday night, you're either going to flip a switch or you're not, and you're going to be a football player. And I'm just trying to fine tune those guys in the way that I would hope.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up, and like I said, Coach, you know, Richard is a neighbor of mine, and I don't see him unless, you know, he's probably inside watching football right now, you know, knowing him. And you know, you're blessed to have him, you know, as your coach there at Louisiana Christian University. So we're going to wrap this up. Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely.
Coach Smith.
Yes, 100%.
And folks, you got two good ones right here. So we're going to throw it off for a break, and you know, the Eagle Drum Corps line, and we're ready to go. You're watching 446 Sports.
Yeah, so what happened out there tonight?
We struck out at home with leftovers, then we remembered walk-ons.
What effect did the situation have?
Spirit soared. Nick took on a burger. Jen obliterated her ribeye po' boy. And speaking of spirits, Laura even scored a real tasty cocktail. She needed that.
Any lessons learned today?
Yeah. Head straight to walk-ons.
Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers, and cocktails. Walk-ons for the win.
Check out some of our recent work at the Panthers Stadium. In addition to custom signs and banners, we also handle custom trophies, custom awards, custom vehicle wraps, and more. Give us a call. We handle projects large and small.
All right, welcome back to the Eagles Nest Coaches Show here live at Brocato's. I also want to give a shout out to Brocato's Restaurant and Lunch, 3 Potato More, the A&A Club, Holy Savior Menard Athletics, Principal Chris Gatlin, who's in attendance with us tonight, Lynn Roy. So we want to thank them for, allowing us to come here and do this show tonight. Right now, I've got 2 members of the Eagle Corps drum line. Who am I speaking with tonight?
Darren Coe.
Darren Coe and
Aaron Barrett.
All right, guys. If you want to listen to some good drum line music, this is who you need to. These are the guys you need to come see and probably come down there and stand on the sidelines with y'all, during the game. How is it? How is it being a part of this drum line and being a part of this football team as well?
It's really cool to see because I think the special thing about Eagle Corps is it's student-led. Like, we don't really have a coach or a teacher. We have a sponsor, Miss Blood. But yeah, we just teach each other the songs and we learn all together.
Aaron, how long have you been doing this Eagle Corps?
2 going on 3 years.
Going on 3 years. And what percussion instrument do you play?
I do bass and snare.
Bass and snare.
Yes,
any future about possibly doing the tenor? Then maybe you can complete them all there. Or?
I've learned a few on quad, but I think I'm kind of really comfortable with bass and snare and kind of helping those newer guys come in and kind of building them up and kind of being kind of more of an unselfish kind of guy and just kind of helping them get to captain, co-captain, stuff like that.
So yeah. Guys, this guy right behind the camera is a percussion. He's still a percussionist, and he played the bass and he played the tenors at Pineville High School. So we really appreciate what you all do every Friday night. Even throughout the year, y'all part of the Spirit Group.
Yes,
and what do you want to do when you finish school? I mean, here at Menard. Either one of you can go.
I want to be a doctor, so I don't think I'll be drumming in college, but yeah.
Any particular type of doctor you want to do?
Hopefully a dermatologist, but I'm still seeing what I'm interested in.
Well, good. So you want to be able to diagnose skin cancers and things like that, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a good one. And Aaron, yourself?
Probably go to college, get a degree in some sort of accounting, something like that, and then hopefully priesthood.
The priesthood?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that is pretty awesome. The priesthood. And what has Menard meant to you, Darren?
I'd say over the past 6 years at Menard, it's been really great getting to know my community. It's such a tight, close-knit community. It's like a family, basically. And so, yeah, it's just been really great getting to know all these people.
Aaron, the same question. What does Menard mean? What does Menard mean to you?
Ever since, I came to Menard, it's really like one big family. Everybody's looking out for each other, building each other up, especially in the faith. And it's really just an incredible journey with everybody else you're going through it with.
Guys, it's just, you talked about community, and, I've just been part of this community, here shortly. But you're right. The community aspect of Menard is very tight, and I'm privileged to, to be part of it. And I can see, how close this community is. And, every single one of you, if something happens, they're there for you. And if you need someone to talk to in any given moment, they're there for you. And that's what just, I'm so excited about, you guys doing what you do. And, I just, wish you best for the future. But is there anything y'all like to do away from Eagle Corps, Friday nights? What do y'all like to do? Aaron, go ahead, bud.
I'm big on Boy Scouts. I'm life right now, working on me Eagle. This upcoming weekend, I actually won't make it to the game. I'll be at an Order of the Arrow camp out, so definitely outdoor stuff. Trying to get into more like fishing, stuff like that.
So you're going to eventually become an Eagle Scout.
Yes,
is that
sir.
correct?
Hoping to work for you. Yes, sir.
What is Eagle Scouts? What is Boy Scouts have taught you as far as school wise?
Definitely outdoor skills, but then taking those steps in leadership and community as a citizen and giving back to your country and your community.
Darren, same question. What in your spare time, what do you like to do, buddy?
Along the same lines of like drumming, I like to play the guitar and the piano. I like music a lot, and I like to sing and perform. So, yeah, I think I spend most of my free time just practicing my music. I'm the student director of Menard's music ministry.
So
I lead mass every week, and then also on Sundays I lead mass with my family.
Where do y'all go to mass at?
I go to St. Francis Cabrini.
You go to Cabrini?
I go to St. Anthony, Padua, and Boki.
So you go to that's Monsignor
Chimino.
Monsignor Chimino, and you've got Father Chad, Partain at Cabrini, don't you? Two good ones, guys. And I had to get start to talk about your faith. I did the pilgrimage this year, and I completed the pilgrimage, so I got to see Father Chimino there, and then I enjoyed going to see Father Chad Partain. Father Chad and I have something in common as far as our doctor. Speaking of soon to be doctor, our cardiovascular surgeon is the exact same one. So guys, you mean a lot to these guys right here, and each one of them are watching you right here. So I know you're going to be big role models to this group of Eagle Corps kids and students. So I know they're excited. And what are Friday nights like?
We get to school. I think this year we're doing it a little differently. We're having a team dinner with dance line and cheer maybe, but the spirit groups. We'll all eat dinner together, and then we'll head out there and do a little pregame performance, and then the game.
Aaron, what do you like? What's Friday nights mean to you?
Just being able to come together with all these great guys, playing our hearts out, supporting this entire spirit of Menard, really, and then just enjoying the game.
You go to different, universities and high schools, and the main focus, when it comes to the band, is that drum line. And when you got going, you just build up those young, those kids on that field. They hear it, and you may not think they hear you, but they hear it. So, I don't think there's a much better group of guys, and students at Menard than the Eagle Corps. So be proud of yourself, and we are so glad that you have become part of the Eagles Nest Coaches Show, and we're so glad to have you here. And when we come back from the break, we'll have Coach Perkins and John and myself, and you are watching on 446 Sports.
Discover golf like never before at Links on the Bayou, Central Louisiana's hidden gem. Welcome to a golf experience like no other. Our Links style design sets the stage for an exciting and unique adventure. 5 distinct tee boxes cater to every skill level, ensuring a game that's perfect for you. And when you're ready to refuel, head to Becky's Bunker Club for dining with a view, and gear up in our pro shop, ready to elevate your golfing experience. Tee off at Links on the Bayou today. Links on the Bayou, redefining the way you enjoy golf.
Yeah, so what happened out there tonight?
We struck out at home with leftovers, then we remembered walk-ons.
What effect did the situation have?
Spirit soared. Nick took on a burger. Jen obliterated her ribeye po' boy. And speaking of spirits, Laura even scored a real tasty cocktail. She needed that.
Any lessons learned today?
Yeah. Head straight to walk-ons.
Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers, and cocktails. Walk-ons for the win.
And welcome back to the Eagles Nest Coaches Show with head coach David Perkins, live from Brocato's and sponsored by 3 Potato More. So, Coach, week 2, got week 1 under your belt, 42-0. Week 2 coming up. Gina, 3A school, deep run in the playoffs last year. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Well, you say Gina Giants, enough said. Got a great coach, and Coach Rourke over there. I think he's been there about 14 seasons. He's got over 100 wins there. I saw his record today. They got a great coaching staff, got a really good, talented team. They do what they do very, very well. They adjust to what you do, to what they do, and so we got to be at our very best. And we got to bring it Friday night because they're gonna come to town and they're gonna give us their very best.
Yeah. So talking about Northwood last week, 1A school. You talked about it earlier with the roster numbers. Now it's a 3A school in Gina. What does your preparation look like from, say, a week 1 Northwood to a week 2 Gina? Does it look different? What's your take on that?
Well, it's the beauty of high school, it's all about the practice. And, so Northwood, 25, 26 kids, we're usually around 40, but then, we had the advantage. And now you play a team out of class, and they've probably got 65, 70, maybe even more than that. So, it gives them opportunity to have practice time with individual kind of, they could do defense at one time or the same time they're doing offense, where we don't have those kind of numbers, so we're all doing everything together. We talk about this all the time. Our defensive guy, like our defensive line, they're very young. They're 3 sophomores. They're actually playing against our first offense on defense, scout squad, so to speak. Right. And they're making those offensive linemen a whole lot better. But they've got to do that because of the numbers, and just to have good competition in practice. And then they're going to have to turn around and actually do the number 1 defense. So they're kind of got double duty in practice, and they're getting a lot of reps. And I think that will show, now and especially later on during the season, especially with those young guys. Because there are really 3 physical guys up front, and in our scheme, they really got to be. And, we have added another lineman because we've been 4-man front here this year a lot. We still do a little 3-4. But, those guys have a job to do. We like our linebackers to be able to go make plays. So they've got to be physical, and they are.
Yeah.
Coach, I watched Gina a little bit on tape, and they're impressive. They're very skilled guys on the outside, and they run that split back veer almost to perfection.
Absolutely, and they've been doing it for a long time. They hit things very quickly. Their dive that they hit with their linemen up there, they got big linemen. They're able to get a push quickly, and it's hard for us to simulate that at practice.
Right.
So we've been watching a lot of film with them, and just trying to talk them through it. And, like I said, they're a great team, and they adjust well to what you do. So it's going to be a game of adjustments, and but our guys are just have to get after it. I know their guys will. They're a 3A team. They've been to the semifinals here recently, and it's going to take a great effort from the Eagles. But I think we got it in us.
Well, in week 2, you got Gina at home opener for us this year. Week 2, Gina on the road last year, and pack the house. We're going to be on 446, right? But we don't want to see you on 446 during game time. We want to be at the Eagles Nest, right?
We're expecting a big crowd. First home opener, and a lot of our spirit groups have a lot of people in them. They're going to bring their parents. They're excited. They want to perform at the Eagles Nest, and should. And Gina's going to travel really, really well. So looking for a great night, and I think we'll have it, and hope the Eagles come to play.
Yep.
You know, Coach, real quickly, Gina is Gina, and I don't think nothing else could be said about that.
Yeah.
With Coach Rourke being there as many years, that he's been there, then it just carried on from whenever Mac Fowler, Mac was there for years, and so they really hadn't had a lot of, turnover as far as their coaching staff, and so they, they're good.
Which really matters, and those kids go there, and they know they're going to go to a good system, and they're going to operate real well. Those guys have been good for a long time. We've played Gina in football for many years. I've been here for a long time. We've played them 20, 25 years ago. We've played them 10 years ago, and they're always good. They've got guys that are committed. They play a certain type of offense that you don't see a whole lot, these days, like with everybody doing the spreads and, shotgun and those type things where they're more old school. You've seen those things kind of like whenever I played, back in the 70s. And even beyond that, the 80s, that kind of a style. So a lot of defenses don't get to see that a whole lot, so it's very hard to defend. So, we got our word cut out for us, but, I think we're prepared, and we're still preparing. We're trying to get some guys back, and we get these guys back, and I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. So, Coach, looking back last week at the Northwood game, is there anything particular you're looking for out of your team tonight versus, say, last week? Any kind of adjustments or something you saw maybe on film when you go back and look? Is there something you're kind of looking at and saying, hey, want to improve there, or maybe we can do this a little different?
Well, you always want to improve from week 1 to week 2, and, from week 2 to week 3. I would like to see a little more energy from our team, and we talked about that this week. We did have some illnesses, and I get that can get you down a little bit, but I like to see our guys cheering our guys on and playing with energy, and I think that brings a certain tempo to your team when you're not only your guys on the field, but your guys on the sideline are into the game, and they're cheering it up or whatever on the bench. But you want that energy to be really high for so you can get we talk about it all the time. If you're just stagnant like water that doesn't run, you got to be moving, all of y'all, and we'll watch this film and we'll watch the guys on the sideline. I want to see if they're into the game, so they got to be in the game and they got to get our guys up.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be an electric night. First, like you said, first home opener this year. Gina coming to the Eagles' Nest. A lot of folks will be out there. I hope folks come and join us. So, Robert, why don't you take us home?
7 o'clock. We go pregame at 6:30. So come out. Even though we're going to be on 446, I encourage you to come to the stadium and come root these kids on. And that's the most important. Is rooting these kids on in purpose, because a lot of times these kids, they'll see you. You know what? I saw you up in the stands watching me, and it's so important to go watch these kids play, Coach, because a lot of these kids, they don't have anybody to come watch them.
Absolutely.
And that's what my daddy taught me as a young person. And stay to the end, because that's the time when we may get some of these younger kids in the ball game and say, Dad, I made it in.
Sure.
So
that's why you play, and it's entertainment.
Yeah.
And, and you want people to come watch you.
Robert hadn't been to a home Menard game yet.
Well, he's fixing to get his
You're going to see the stands Friday night.
Well,
yeah, you'll get to see the stands Friday night.
I'm looking forward to it.
And you come out there, and we've got the tailgate spots, and the people getting out there early, and some will be cooking and having a good old time out there.
The food is good, and I tell you, the food is good in the press box too.
I know
Al Matthews out there.
Yeah, and they'll be cooking that, and that's an experienced crew out there, and. My wife, Mama P, she's got her a nice little spot right there. She'll have some food also. You can go by and see her, and everybody that's out there does, and they're very generous.
It's a fun time.
Absolutely.
You'll see it Friday night.
I can't wait. And, folks, come out and Friday night, 7 o'clock, pregame at 6:30, and we'll be live on the air. So come on out and enjoy and support these Eagles.
Absolutely.
As we wrap it up, you have been watching the Eagles Nest Coaches Show live from Brocato, sponsored by 3 Potato More. Thank you and good night.
Go Eagles.